You booked your flight, you felt relieved. You thought the hardest part was already behind you, and for a moment you relaxed completely. That relief is exactly where most travelers lose money without ever noticing it happening. Because the biggest charges in modern travel rarely arrive with a warning, they arrive disguised as convenience, as protection, as a small click that feels responsible in the moment. A seat fee here, a currency exchange there, a parking choice made out of habit instead of research, each one small, each one easy to justify. And together they quietly drain hundreds of dollars from travelers who never stop to add it up. Today, on Fly Smart After 70, we are counting down 12 charges that 90% of passengers pay without question and regret the second they see the real cost. Stay with us, because charge number 1 is the one almost nobody expects, and it can cost more than everything else on this list combined. None of these charges require you to be careless. Most of them simply rely on you being busy, tired, or rushed, which describes almost every traveler standing in an airport on any given day. Before we count these down, take a moment to follow Fly Smart After 70, because every video here is built around one simple goal: helping you keep more of your own money while you travel with less stress and fewer surprises waiting at the counter. Charge 12. Paying to choose your seat. You open the booking page and see a simple option: pay a little extra to choose your seat. And it feels harmless. $10 here, $15 there, just to guarantee a window or an aisle instead of leaving it to chance. Airlines understand exactly how this works, because seat selection has quietly become one of the largest hidden profit centers in modern travel, worth billions across a single year. The trick is simple. Most economy seats are already assigned automatically during check-in, yet the fee convinces travelers they are avoiding a disaster instead of paying for something they were likely to receive anyway. Passengers who skip the fee usually still get a seat, sometimes not their first pick, but rarely the nightmare they imagined when they reached for their wallet. Families often feel pressured to pay several times just to sit together, even though many airlines already try to seat families near each other once check-in opens. Smart travelers wait. They check in the moment the window opens. They study the free seat map first, and they only pay when a real need exists, such as extra legroom for a medical condition. One overlooked truth: standard seats are rarely as risky without payment as the booking page makes them appear. That message is simply built to create urgency. That single realization can save a frequent traveler hundreds of dollars a year, money that could easily fund an entire extra weekend trip instead of 30 seconds of unnecessary seat anxiety. It also helps to remember that airline apps often release additional free seats closer to departure as other passengers change plans, meaning a little patience can quietly open up better options without spending a single extra dollar. But the next charge convinces travelers they are being responsible, when in reality, most of them will never use what they paid for. Charge 11. Paying for flight cancellation flexibility you will never use. At checkout, a friendly message appears: add flexible cancellation for peace of mind, and something in your chest tightens, because nobody wants to feel trapped by a fixed plan. So you pay it $20, $30, sometimes more, and you tell yourself it is smart insurance against the unknown. Statistically, though, the overwhelming majority of travelers who buy this option never cancel their flight at all, which means the airline collects a guaranteed profit on a service almost nobody redeems. Worse, Many credit cards already include limited trip protection benefits that travelers forget they have, making this extra charge a duplicate safety net nobody asked for. The airline is not selling certainty, it is selling a feeling, and feelings are far easier to price than actual risk. Many travel plans booked well in advance rarely need last-minute cancellation flexibility, especially for routine trips with stable dates. Smart travelers check their existing credit card benefits first. Read what protection is already included, and only add extra flexibility for truly unpredictable trips, like last-minute business travel or unstable weather routes. A simple 5-minute check before booking can prevent a payment for a safety net that was already sitting quietly in your wallet the entire time. It also helps to remember that airlines themselves often allow small schedule adjustments without a full flexible fare, especially when requested early, which means the expensive flexibility option is frequently solving a problem that barely exists in the first place. Charge 10. Buying extra baggage at the airport. You arrive at the counter confident, your bag looks fine, until the agent points at the scale and delivers the bad news: your bag needs an upgrade. Now you are standing at the counter paying full airport price for extra baggage, sometimes double or triple what the exact same option would have cost online days earlier. Airlines know this moment perfectly because a stressed traveler standing at a counter with a line behind them rarely negotiates. They simply pay to make the problem disappear. That single decision, made in a rushed 60 seconds, can cost as much as $50 to $100 more than pre-purchasing the same bag allowance through the airline website in advance. The airport is not the place travelers get the best price, it is the place they pay the emergency price. Smart travelers check their baggage allowance the moment they book, add extra bags online if needed, and treat the airport counter as a last resort, not a shopping option. A few clicks from home, done calmly with no line behind you, can prevent a payment that feels forced and unavoidable once you are already standing there with your suitcase on the scale. It also helps to weigh bags a full day before departure rather than the night before, giving enough time to shift items between bags calmly instead of making rushed decisions while the clock is already working against you. Charge 9. Paying credit card foreign transaction fees. You swipe your card overseas without a second thought. Coffee, souvenirs, dinner, and every single purchase quietly adds a small percentage on top, usually around 3%, sometimes higher. It feels invisible because it is invisible. A few cents on a coffee, a few dollars on a hotel bill, nothing dramatic in any single moment. But travelers who spend heavily abroad, especially over a week or two, can lose over $100 in fees without ever seeing a single line item labeled clearly as a charge. Most travelers simply never check whether their card even carries this fee because the number is buried deep inside fine print nobody reads before a trip. Meanwhile, many modern travel cards now offer zero foreign transaction fees as a standard feature, yet millions of travelers still use the wrong card purely out of habit, reaching for the same familiar card in their wallet, without ever comparing the fine print between the two. Smart travelers check their card terms before departure, and if their main card charges this fee, they open one no-fee travel card in advance instead. That single switch, made once before a trip, can quietly save real money on every purchase made overseas, without changing a single spending habit. It also helps to activate the new card and confirm it works before departure, rather than discovering a problem at a foreign checkout counter with a line of travelers waiting behind you. Charge 8. Airport and in-flight food. Hunger hits right before boarding, and suddenly a simple sandwich costs $12, a bottle of water costs $5, and a small snack box costs almost as much as a full meal back home. Airports understand they have a captive audience. Once you pass security, competition disappears, and prices rise because travelers have nowhere else to go. In-flight food is often worse. Small portions, premium pricing, and limited choice, all sold to passengers who have no alternative once the seatbelt sign turns on. Many travelers accept this simply because they assume there is no other option once they reach the gate. In reality, a light meal or snack packed from home before departure removes the pressure entirely, and airport security allows most solid food items through screening without any issue. Smart travelers pack a simple snack, a sandwich, or dried fruit and treat the terminal food court as a backup, not a default plan. That one small habit, built the night before a flight, can quietly save $20 to $40. On a single travel day, money better spent once you actually reach your destination. Refillable water bottles are another quiet win, since most terminals now offer free water stations past security, removing the need to pay $5 for something that costs almost nothing once you know exactly where to look. Charge 7. Expensive airport parking instead of off-site lots. You pull into airport parking because it feels closest, easiest, and safest, and for a short trip, that instinct seems reasonable. But airport parking often charges premium daily rates, sometimes $30 or $40 a day, while an off-site lot just minutes away charges a fraction of that price with a free shuttle included. Over a week-long trip, that difference alone can add up to well over $100 simply for the convenience of a slightly shorter walk. Many travelers never compare prices because they assume parking is parking, and the difference could not be significant, yet the gap between on-site and off-site pricing is often dramatic. Off-site lots frequently offer covered parking, security patrols, and shuttle service every few minutes, removing almost every disadvantaged travelers imagine when picturing a lot further from the terminal. Smart travelers compare pricing before departure, reserve a spot online in advance for a lower guaranteed rate, and treat the shuttle ride as a minor trade-off for real savings. That 5-minute comparison, made once before a trip, can quietly protect an entire vacation dinner budget that would otherwise vanish into a parking garage. For travelers who fly several times a year, the savings compound quickly, turning a small habit into hundreds of dollars, kept back over just 12 months of ordinary travel. Booking the off-site lot in advance also tends to guarantee a spot during busy holiday travel periods, avoiding the added stress of circling a full airport garage while a flight departure time keeps getting closer. Charge 6. Currency exchange at the airport. Right before your flight, you notice the currency exchange counter glowing near your gate, and it feels convenient, quick, and safe. That convenience comes at a steep price because airport exchange counters often offer some of the worst rates available anywhere, sometimes 10 to 15% below the real market rate. A traveler exchanging just a few $100s can quietly lose $30 to $50 purely through a bad rate, without any visible fee ever appearing on a receipt. The counter is not hiding a fee. It is hiding the rate itself, buried inside numbers. Most travelers never think to question in a rush before boarding. Many travelers exchange money at the airport simply because they forgot to plan ahead, and last-minute panic pushes them toward the first option in sight. Smart travelers withdraw local currency from an ATM after landing using a no foreign fee card, which usually delivers a rate far closer to the real market value. A small amount of planning before departure can prevent a quiet loss that feels painless in the moment, yet adds up fast across an entire trip. Even exchanging a small emergency amount before leaving home, just enough for a taxi or a first meal, can remove the pressure to rely on that overpriced airport counter the moment you land. Charge 5. Paying dynamic currency conversion at foreign merchants. Abroad, a card machine sometimes asks a simple question, "Would you like to pay in your home currency instead?" And it sounds helpful, even comforting, like a small act of kindness from the merchant. In reality, this option, known as dynamic currency conversion, almost always applies a worse exchange rate than your own bank would use, quietly padding the final charge in the merchant's favor. Travelers who accept this option without thinking can lose an extra 3 to 7% on every single purchase, a hidden cost stacked directly on top of any card fees already in place. The question is intentionally worded to sound like a favor when it functions as an additional charge disguised as a convenience. Smart travelers always choose to pay in the local currency, never their home currency, whenever this choice appears on a card machine or a receipt screen. That one instinct, repeated across dozens of small purchases during a trip, can quietly protect real money that would otherwise slip away through a single confusing prompt at checkout. It helps to say the phrase out loud in advance, "Local currency, please," so the response feels automatic instead of confusing when the machine asks its quiet, misleading question. Charge 4. Travel insurance added at checkout. During checkout, a pre-selected box quietly sits there, "Add travel protection for peace of mind," already checked before you even notice it exists. Many travelers simply continue through checkout without reading it closely, unknowingly paying $20 to $60 for coverage they may not actually need or may already have elsewhere. This checkout insurance is often more expensive and less comprehensive than a standalone travel insurance policy, purchased separately through a dedicated provider. Worse, some travelers already hold annual travel insurance through a credit card or a membership program, making this checkout charge a complete duplicate of protection they already own. The pre-checked box relies entirely on travelers moving quickly and not reading carefully, which is exactly how it generates consistent profit. Smart travelers always uncheck this box first, then research travel insurance separately if genuinely needed, comparing real providers instead of accepting the first option placed directly in front of them. A single extra glance at checkout, taking only a few seconds, can prevent paying twice for protection that may already exist quietly in your wallet. Calling the credit card company once a year to confirm exactly what travel benefits are included can turn this quick check into a habit that saves money on every single trip booked afterward. Keeping a short written note of those benefits inside a phone or wallet makes the checkout decision instant, instead of guessing under pressure while a booking timer counts down in the corner of the screen. Charge 3. Excess overweight baggage fees from poor packing. The suitcase zips shut, everything fits, and for a moment, packing feels complete and successful. Then the scale at the counter delivers different news, 3 or 5 pounds over the limit. And suddenly the calm turns into stress right in front of a line of waiting passengers. Overweight fees at the counter are almost always higher than fees paid in advance online, sometimes reaching $100 or more for a difference of only a few pounds. Many travelers pack emotionally, adding just-in-case items, extra shoes, and heavier toiletries, without ever placing the suitcase on a scale before leaving home. That single oversight, made quietly the night before departure, becomes a very public and very expensive problem the following morning. Smart travelers weigh their suitcase at home using a simple luggage scale, leave a small safety margin below the limit, and remove heavy, low-value items before closing the bag for the final time. A 2-minute check at home can prevent a stressful, embarrassing, and completely avoidable charge standing at the airport counter surrounded by strangers. Packing a small foldable bag inside the suitcase can also help, giving a quick, calm way to redistribute weight between two bags if the scale ever shows an unwelcome surprise. Charge 2, the full experience upgrade bundle. At checkout, one final option appears, a bundle promising priority boarding, extra legroom, lounge access, and flexible changes, all wrapped together at a price that sounds like a reasonable deal for everything included. The bundle is designed to feel efficient, one payment covering several perks at once, saving you from comparing each option separately. In reality, many travelers only need 1 or 2 features from that bundle, yet they pay for all of them simply because the package looks convenient and slightly discounted. Airlines profit heavily from bundles precisely because most passengers never calculate the individual price of each included item separately before comparing it to the bundle total. A traveler who genuinely only wants extra legroom may end up paying for lounge access and flexible changes they will never actually use during that trip. Smart travelers break the bundle down mentally first, identify the 1 or 2 features they truly need, and price those individually before deciding whether the full bundle actually saves money. That short comparison, done calmly before checkout, often reveals that buying only what you need costs far less than the appealing full package deal. Writing down the 2 or 3 features that truly matter before opening the booking page can prevent the bundle from quietly reshaping the decision the moment it appears on screen. Charge 1, paying roaming charges instead of using an eSIM. You land, your phone connects automatically, and days later, a roaming bill arrives that looks less like a phone charge and more like a small emergency, sometimes reaching hundreds of dollars for calls, texts, and data used abroad without a second thought. Roaming charges remain one of the most expensive and most overlooked costs in modern travel, precisely because they accumulate silently in the background while a traveler focuses entirely on sightseeing instead of settings. Meanwhile, a simple digital eSIM installed directly on a smartphone before departure often provides local data for a small fraction of standard roaming prices, sometimes covering an entire trip for less than the cost of one single roaming day. Many travelers never explore this option simply because it sounds technical, when in reality it usually takes only a few minutes to set up before leaving home. This is why it sits at the very top of this list, because the gap between roaming prices and eSIM prices is often larger than every other charge, combined, quietly costing careless travelers hundreds of dollars on a single international trip. Smart travelers research eSIM options for their destination before departure, install it in advance, and switch their phone to airplane mode with the eSIM active immediately after landing. That single change, made once before a trip, can protect more money than almost any other decision on this entire list. It also helps to test the eSIM connection at home before departure, confirming it activates correctly. So the very first thing waiting at your destination is a working phone instead of an unexpected and expensive surprise. If any of these 12 charges sound familiar, you are far from alone, because nearly every traveler has paid at least a few of them without realizing it at the time, and most people only discover the total damage weeks later while reviewing a credit card statement at home. The good news is simple. Awareness changes everything. And now that you know exactly where these charges hide, you can quietly avoid every single one of them on your next trip. If this video helped you see travel costs a little differently, follow Fly Smart After 70 for more videos built to protect your money and your peace of mind on every trip ahead, and tell us in the comments which of these 12 charges has cost you the most in the past. Travel smart, spend wisely, and never let a hidden charge quietly decide how your next trip turns out. Save this video before you close it, share it with a friend who is planning a trip soon, and come back to this list right before your next flight, because a 5-minute review now can protect real money later. And that is exactly what FlySmart After 70 is here to help you do, one trip at a time.